Hey y'all, we're going to go ahead and continue with our Anne Frank adventure, reading the play. So, our crew, our two families, the Van Dans and the Franks, have been in the secret annex in hiding for 2 months now. And Anne and Peter are starting to get on each other's nerves a little bit. You got Peter's mom teasing him about his little girlfriend. Things are super awkward, and they're only going to get more intense as we go, as that tension amps up with these two families living in a very small space. So let's see what we have in store for our characters today. Also, if you see me stick up my tongue and it happens to be orange, I just stayed an orange arrowhead. Yep, I know I'm super professional at all times, my orange tongue. All right, here we go.
She's usually so
Mazel tov.
I wonder where Meep is. She's usually so prompt.
Suddenly, everything else is forgotten as they hear the sound of an automobile coming to a screeching stop in the street below. They are tense, motionless in their terror. The car starts away. A wave of relief sweeps over them. They pick up their occupations again. Anne flings open the door of Peter's room, making a dramatic entrance. She is dressed in Peter's clothes. Peter looks at her in fury. The others are amused.
Good evening, everyone. Forgive me if I don't stay. I have a friend waiting for me in there. My friend Tom. Tomcat. Some people say that we look alike, but Tom has the most beautiful whiskers, and I have only a little fuzz. I am hoping, in time...
All right, Mrs. Quack Quack.
Peter!
I've heard about you. How you talked so much in class they called you Mrs. Quack Quack. How Mr. Smitter made you write a composition. Quack Quack, said Mrs. Quack Quack.
Well, go on, tell them the rest. How it was so good he read it out loud to the class, and then read it to all his other classes.
Quack, 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 quack. Anne pulls off the coat and trousers.
You are the most intolerable, insufferable boy I've ever met.
She throws the clothes down the stairwell. Peter goes down after them. Quack, quack, quack.
That's right, Annika. Give it to him. With all the boys in the world, why I had to get locked up with one like you.
Quack, quack, quack. And from now on, stay out of my room. As Peter passes her, Anne puts out her foot, tripping him. He picks himself up and goes on into his room.
Dear, your hair. You're warm. Are you feeling all right? Please, Mother.
She goes over to the center table, slipping into her shoes.
You haven't a fever, have you? No. You know we can't call a doctor here, ever. There's only one thing to do. Watch carefully. Prevent an illness before it comes. Let me see your tongue. Mother, this is perfectly absurd. Anne, dear, don't be such a baby. Let me see your tongue.
As Anne refuses, Mrs. Frank appeals to Mr. Frank.
Otto?
You hear your mother, Anne. Anne flicks out her tongue for a second, then turns away.
Come on, open up.
As Anne opens her mouth very wide.
You seem all right, but perhaps an aspirin. For heaven's sake, don't give that child any pills. I waited for 15 minutes this morning for her to come out of the WC. I was washing my hair.
I think there's nothing the matter with our Anne that a ride on her bike or a visit with her friend Yopi Duval wouldn't cure. Isn't that so, Anne? Mr. Van Daan comes down into the room. From outside, we hear faint sounds of bombers going over and a burst of ack-ack. Meat not come yet?
The workman just left, a little while ago.
What's for dinner tonight?
Beans.
Oh, not again.
Poor Pooty. I know, but what can we do? That's all that Meat brought us.
Mr. Van Daan starts to pace, his hands behind his back. Anne follows behind him, imitating him.
We are now in what is known as the bean cycle. Beans boiled, beans on casserole, beans with strings, beans without strings.
Peter has come out of his room. He slides into his place at the table, becoming immediately absorbed in his studies. I saw you in there playing with your cat.
He just went in for a second, putting his coat away. He's been out here all the time doing his lessons.
You got an excellent in your history paper today, and very good in Latin.
How about algebra?
I'll have to make a confession. Up until now, I've managed to stay ahead of you in algebra. Today, you caught up with me. We'll leave it to Margot to correct.
Isn't algebra vile, Pim?
Vile.
How did I do? Excellent, 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 excellent.
You should have used the subjunctive here.
Should I? I thought, look here, I didn't use it here.
The two become absorbed in the papers.
Mrs. Von Don, may I try on your coat? No, Anne. It's all right, but careful with it.
Anne puts it on and struts with it.
My father gave me that the year before he died. He always bought the best that money could buy. Mrs. Von Don, did you have a lot of boyfriends before you were married? Anne, that's a personal question. It's not courteous to ask personal questions. Oh, I don't mind. Our house was always swarming with boys. When I was a girl, we had...
Oh, God, not again.
Shut up! One summer, we had a big house in Hilversum. The boys came buzzing round like bees around a jam pot. And when I was 16, we were wearing our skirts, very short those days, and I had good-looking legs.
She pulls up her skirt, going to Mr. Frank.
Awkward.
I still have 'em. I may not be as pretty as I used to be, but I still have my legs. How about it, Mr. Frank?
Seriously awkward. So she's bragging about Mrs. Van Daan is bragging about all the boyfriends she used to have. And now she's like, pulled up her skirt, is like, what do you think, Mr. Frank? She's doing this to just sort of bait Mr. Van Daan. It's kind of cute.
All right, we see them.
I'm not asking you. I'm asking Mr. Frank.
Mother, for heaven's sake.
Oh, I embarrass you, do I?
Yes.
Well, I just hope the girl you marry has as good. My father used to worry about me, with so many boys hanging round. He told me, if any of them gets fresh, you say to him, remember, Mr. So-and-so, remember, I'm a lady. Remember, Mr. So-and-so, remember, I'm a lady.
She gives Mrs. Van Daan her coat. Look at you, talking that way in front of her. Don't you know she puts it all down in that diary?
So if she does, I'm only telling the truth.
Anne stretches out, putting her ear to the floor, listening to what is going on below. The sound of the bombers fades away.
Would you mind, Peter, if I moved you over to the couch? Neat must have the radio on.
Peter picks up his papers, going over to the couch beside Mrs. Van Daan. Haven't you finished yet? No. You ought to be ashamed of yourself.
Ugh.
All right. I'm a dunce. I'm a hopeless case. Where do I go on?
You're not hopeless. Don't talk that way. It's just that you haven't anyone to help you like the girls have. Maybe you could help him, Mr. Frank?
I'm sure that his father... Not me. I can't do anything with him. He won't listen to me. You go ahead, if you want. What about it, Peter? Shall we make our school co-educational? Kissing Mr. Frank.
You're an angel, Mr. Frank. An angel. I don't know why I didn't meet you before I met that one there. Here, sit down, Mr. Frank.
She forces him down on the couch beside Peter.
Sheesh. So I want you guys to think here, notice some ways that these two couples are different. In what ways are the Van Daans different from the Franks? Just keep that in mind.
Now, Peter, you listen to Mr. Frank.
It might be better for us to go into Peter's room. Peter jumps up eagerly, leading the way.
That's right. You go in there, Peter. You listen to Mr. Frank. Mr. Frank is a highly educated man.
As Mr. Frank is about to follow Peter into his room, Mrs. Frank stops him and wipes the lipstick from his lips. Then she closes the door after them.
Shh! I can hear a man's voice talking.
Isn't it bad enough here without your sprawling all over the place?
If you didn't smoke so much, you wouldn't be so bad-tempered.
Am I smoking? Do you see me smoking?
Don't tell me you've used up all those cigarettes.
One package. Meep only brought me one package.
It's a filthy habit anyway. It's a good time to break yourself.
Oh, stop it, please.
You're smoking up all our money. You know that, don't you?
Will you shut up? During this, Mrs. Franck and Margot have studiously kept their eyes down. But Anne, seated on the floor, has been following the discussion interestedly. Mr. Van Daan turns to see her staring up at him. And what are you staring at?
I never heard grown-ups quarrel before. I thought only children quarreled.
This isn't a quarrel, it's a discussion. And I never heard children so rude before.
Rude!
Yes.
Anne, will you get me my knitting?
Distraction.
Anne goes to get it.
I must remember when Meep comes to ask her to bring me some more wool. I need some hairpins and some soap. I made a list.
She goes into her bedroom to get the list.
Have you some library books for Meep when she comes? It's a wonder that Meep has a life of her own, the way we make her run errands for us. Please, Meep, get me some starch. Please take my hair out and have it cut. Tell me all the latest news, Meep.
She goes over, kneeling on the couch beside Mrs. Van Daan.
Did you know she was engaged? His name is Dirk, and Meep's afraid the Nazis will ship him off to Germany to work in one of their war plants. That's what they're doing with some of the young Dutchmen. They pick them up off the streets.
Don't you ever get tired of talking? Suppose you try keeping still for 5 minutes. Just 5 minutes. He starts to pace again. Again, Anne follows him, mimicking him. Mrs. Franck jumps up and takes her by the arm up to the sink and gives her a glass of milk.
Come here, Anne. It's time for your glass of milk.
Talk, talk, talk. I never heard such a child. Where is my... Every evening it's the same. Talk, talk, talk. Where is my...
What are you looking for?
My pipe? Have you seen my pipe?
What good's a pipe? You haven't got any tobacco.
At least I'll have something to hold in my mouth. Opening Margot's bedroom door. Margot, have you seen my pipe?
It was on the table last night.
Anne puts her glass of milk on the table and picks up his pipe, hiding it behind her back.
Oh.
I know. Anne, did you see my pipe? Anne.
Anne, Mr. Van Daan is speaking to you. Am I allowed to talk now?
Oh, you're the most aggravating. The trouble with you is you've been spoiled. What you need is a good old-fashioned spanking.
Remember, Mr. So-and-so. Remember, I'm a lady.
She thrusts the pipe into his mouth, then picks up her glass of milk.
She didn't. She did.
Why aren't you nice and quiet like your sister Margot? Why do you have to show off all the time? Let me give you a little advice, young lady. Men don't like that kind of thing in a girl. You know that? A man likes a girl who'll listen to him once in a while. A domestic girl who'll keep her house shining for her husband, who loves to cook and sew and...
I cut my throat first. I open my veins. I'm going to be remarkable. I'm going to Paris.
All right, guys, I'm going to pause for just a second and we will continue this in just a moment. All right, sorry. So, dude, I love how dramatic Anne is here. Oh my gosh, she's doing so much stuff to drive Mr. Van Daan absolutely crazy. Let's have her continue. Here we go.
Oh, Paris.
To study music and art.
Yeah.
I'm going to be a famous dancer or singer or something wonderful.
She makes a wide gesture, spilling the glass of milk on the fur coat in Mrs. Van Daan's lap. Oh, no. Margot rushes quickly over with a towel. Anne tries to brush the milk off with her skirt.
Now look what you've done, you clumsy little fool. My beautiful fur coat my father gave me. I'm so sorry. What do you care? It isn't yours. So go on, ruin it. Do you know what that coat cost? Do you? And now look at it. Look at it. I'm very, very sorry. I could kill you for this. I could just kill you.
Mrs. Van Daan goes up the stairs, clutching the coat. Mr. Van Daan starts after her. Petronella, Leafia, come back. The supper, come back.
On, you must not behave in that way.
So Mrs. Van Dan's being dramatic here, but that coat really is her prized possession. So she's really upset about it. Little over the top though, kind of creepy, kind of scary there. How upset she is. All right, let's keep going.
It was an accident. Anyone can have an accident. I don't mean that. I mean the answering back. You must not answer back. They are our guests. We must always show the greatest courtesy to them. We're all living under terrible tension.
She stops as Margot indicates that Van Daan can hear. When he is gone, she continues.
That's why we must control ourselves. You don't hear Margot getting into arguments with them, do you? Watch Margot. She's always courteous with them, never familiar. She keeps her distance, and they respect her for it. Try to be like Margot. And have them walk all over me the way they do her? No thanks. I'm not afraid that anyone is going to walk all over you, Anne. I'm afraid for other people that you'll walk on them. I don't know what happens to you, Anne. You are wild, self-willed. If I had ever talked to my mother as you talk to me. Things have changed. People aren't like that anymore. Yes, Mother. No, Mother. Anything you say, Mother. I've got to fight things out for myself. Make something of myself. It isn't necessary to fight to do it. Margot doesn't fight. And isn't she? Margot! Margot, that's all I hear from everyone. How wonderful Margot is. Why aren't you like Margot? Oh, come on, Anne. Don't be so. Everything she does is right, and everything I do is wrong. I'm the goat around here. You're all against me. And you worst of all.
She rushes off into her room and throws herself down on the settee, stifling her sobs. Mrs. Franck sighs and starts toward the stove.
Let's put the soup on the stove. If there's anyone who cares to eat. Margot, will you take the bread out?
Margot gets the bread from the cupboard.
I don't know how we can go on living this way. I can't say a word to Anne. She flies at me. You know, Anne, in half an hour she'll be out here, laughing and joking. And
She makes a motion upwards, indicating the Van Daans.
I told your father it wouldn't work. But no. He had to ask them, he said. He owed it to him, he said. Well, he knows now that I was right. These quarrels, this bickering.
Whoa, so this is the first time we're seeing this side of Mrs. Franck. Usually she's just go with the flow, keep everybody happy. But this is the first time she's hinted that things are getting really tense with the Van Daans, and she is not enjoying it.
Shush.
The buzzer for the door sounds. Mrs. Franck gasps, startled.
Every time I hear that sound, my heart stops.
Starting for Peter's door.
It's me.
She knocks at the door.
Father?
Mr. Franck comes quickly from Peter's room. Thank you, Margot. As he goes down the steps to open the outer door. Has everyone his list?
I'll get my books.
Giving her mother a list.
Here's your list.
Margot goes into her and Anne's bedroom on the right. Anne sits up, hiding her tears, as Margot comes in.
Meep's here.
Margot picks up her books and goes back. Anne hurries over to the mirror, smoothing her hair. Is it me?
Yes. Father's gone down to let her in.
At last, I'll have some cigarettes.
I can't tell you how unhappy I am about Mrs. Van Daan's coat. Anne should never have touched it.
Oh, she'll be all right.
Is there anything I can do?
Don't worry. He turns to meet Meep. But it is not Meep who comes up the steps. It is Mr. Crawler, followed by Mr. Franck. Their faces are grave.
Serious.
Anne comes from the bedroom.
Her faces
Peter
are
comes
serious.
from his room.
Mr. Crawler.
How are you, Mr. Crawler?
This is a surprise. When Mr. Crawler comes, the sun begins to shine.
Meep is coming? Not tonight. Crawler goes to Margot and Mrs. Franck and Anne. shaking hands with them.
Wouldn't you like a cup of coffee? Or better still, will you have supper with us?
Mr. Crawler has something to talk over with us. Something has happened, he says, which demands an immediate decision.
What is it?
Mr. Crawler sits down on the couch. As he talks, he takes bread, cabbages, milk, etc. from his briefcase, giving them to Margot and Anne to put away. Usually, when I come up here, I try to bring you some bit of good news. What's the use of telling you the bad news when there's nothing that you can do about it? But today, something has happened. Dirk, and Meeps Dirk, came to me just now. He tells me that he has a Jewish friend living near him, a dentist. He says he's in trouble. He begged me, could I do anything for this man? Could I find him a hiding place? So I've come to you. I know it's a terrible thing to ask of you, living as you are, but would you take him in with you?
Whoa.
Of course we will. It'll be just for a night or two, until I find some other place. This happened so suddenly that I didn't know where to turn. Where is he? Downstairs in the office.
Already here.
Good. Bring him up. His name is Dussel. Jan Dussel. Dussel. I think I know him. I'll get him. He goes quickly down the steps and out. Mr. Frank suddenly becomes conscious of the others. Oh, forgive me. I spoke without consulting you. But I knew you'd feel as I do. There's no reason for you to consult anyone. This is your place. You have a right to do exactly as you please. The only thing I feel, there's so little food as it is. And to take in another person. Peter turns away, ashamed of his father. We can stretch the food a little. It's only for a few days. You want to make a bet?
I think it's fine to have him. But, Otto, where are you going to put him? Where?
He can have my bed. I can sleep on the floor. I wouldn't mind. That's good of you, Peter, but your room's too small, even for you.
I have a much better idea. I'll come in here with you and Mother, and Margot can take Peter's room, and Peter can go in our room with Mr. Dussel. That's right. We could do that.
No, Margot. You mustn't sleep in that room, neither you nor Anne. Mushi has caught some rats in there. Peter's brave. He doesn't mind.
Then how about this? I'll come in here with you and Mother, and Mr. Dussel can have my bed. No, no, no! Margot will come in here with us, and he can have her bed. It's the only way. Margot, bring her things in here. Help her on.
Margot hurries into her room to get her things.
Why, Margot? Why can't I come in here? Because it wouldn't be proper for Margot to sleep with a... Please, Anne, don't argue. Please.
You don't mind sharing your room with Mr. Dussel, do you, Anne?
No. No, of course not.
Good. Anne goes off into her bedroom, helping Margot. Mr. Frank starts to search in the cupboards. Where's the cognac?
It's there, but Otto, I was saving it in case of illness.
I think we couldn't find a better time to use it. Peter, will you get 5 glasses for me? Peter goes for the glasses. Margot comes out of her bedroom, carrying her possessions, which she hangs behind a curtain in the main room. Mr. Frank finds the cognac and pours it into the 5 glasses that Peter brings him. Mr. Van Daan stands looking on, sourly. Mrs. Van Daan comes downstairs and looks around at all the bustle.
What's happening? What's going on?
Someone's moving in with us.
In
Surprise!
here? You're joking. It's only for a night or two, until Mr. Crawler finds him another place.
Yeah. Mr. Frank hurries over as Mr. Crawler and Dussel come up. Dussel is a man in his late 50s, meticulous, finicky, bewildered now. He wears a raincoat. He carries a briefcase stuffed full and a small medicine case.
I want you to notice how each of the characters sort of responded to the idea of Dussel coming to live with them in different ways. Mr. Frank didn't hesitate before he said, yes, he can come with us. And then he apologized for not talking to other people. The only thing Mrs. Frank is worried about is that they won't maybe all fit. Mr. Dussel is worried about food. Mr. Van Dan is worried about food. Anne offers to change rooms. Peter offers his room. So they all respond to this change in a little bit of a different way, and that sort of reveals some about each of their characters. Kind of cool to see how they all responded there.
Come in, Mr. Dussel. This is Mr. Frank. Mr. Otto Frank? Yes, let me take your things. He takes the hat and briefcase, but Dussel clings to his medicine case. This is my wife, Edith, Mr. and Mrs. Van Dam, their son, Peter, and my daughters, Margot and Anne. Dussel shakes hands with everyone. Thank you, Mr. Frank. Thank you all. Mr. Dussel, I leave you in good hands. Oh, Dirk's coat. Dussel hurriedly takes off the raincoat, giving it to Mr. Crawler. Underneath is his white dentist's jacket with a yellow Star of David on it. What can I say to thank you?
Mr. Crawler and me, they're our lifeline. Without them, we couldn't live.
Please, please, you make us seem very heroic. It isn't that at all. We simply don't like the Nazis. To Mr. Frank, who offers him a drink. No, thanks. We don't like their methods. We don't like... I know. No one's going to tell us Dutchmen what to do with our damn Jews. Pay no attention to Mr. Frank. I'll be up tomorrow to see that they're treating you right. Don't trouble to come down again. Peter will bolt the door after me, won't you, Peter? Yes, sir. Thank you, Peter. I'll do it. Good night. Good night.
Good night, Mr.
We'll see you
Crawler.
tomorrow then. Mr. Crawler goes out with Mr. Frank. Mrs. Frank gives each one of the grown-ups a glass of cognac.
Please, Mr. Dussel, sit down.
Mr. Dussel sinks into a chair. Mrs. Frank gives him a glass of cognac. I'm dreaming. I know it. I can't believe my eyes. Mr. Otto Frank here. You're not in Switzerland, then? A woman told me. She said she'd gone to your house. The door was open. Everything was in disorder. Dishes in the sink. She said she found a piece of paper in the wastebasket with an address scribbled on it. An address in Zurich. She said you must have escaped to Zurich.
Father put that there purposely, just so people would think that very thing.
And you've been here all the time?
All the time. Ever since July.
All right, we're going to pause right there. Thank you guys for listening in. So Mr. Dussel is actually going to bring them some news of what's going on in the outside world, and he's going to change the whole dynamic of the annex. And this actually happened. So one more person has joined the team here. He's only supposed to be there for a few days, but let's be honest, hiding spots, hard to come by. So Mr. Dussel, probably not going anywhere anytime soon. All right, guys, I'll see you in our next installment. Bye for now. Remember to answer your questions on your Anne Frank page. If you need help, email or message your teacher. Bye.